Hey guys, I know that this has been quite a long time. I have not been feeling well the last couple of days. Um, so you'll have to excuse my being absent for a little longer. I've been fighting a fever. We're finally feeling better. And the fever is finally gone, so that's good. But I wanted to talk about Smackdown Friday night. It was the Christmas Eve edition, and they told us a couple of things leading into the pay per view, and that is coming up in less than a week. So, first, we had a very interesting interview with Paul Heyman, and he is gold on the microphone, guys. It does not matter who you put him with, you give him a microphone, and he is pure gold. This interview went really good when they just discussed what the future of his career was going to be now that Roman had fired him, and just kind of going over exactly what had happened. At the end of the day, he really didn't know what was next for him, and that he had to admit and acknowledge that this may be the end of Paul Heyman's career. Um, I don't know that this is true, though. I still feel like we're going to see him, that he may even involve himself in some fashion in the day one match between Roman and Brock Lesnar. We will see. Um, but I don't think this is the last that we've seen of Paul Heyman. And who knows? Maybe he even gets paired up with someone else entirely. What I will say is that if they do put him back with Brock Lesnar, I hope that they allow Brock to still keep this part of his character. It's been really good. I've enjoyed his character much more so than I have any other character of Brock's. So it just seems more authentic, um, more fun, and more relatable, if you will. So I thought that interview went really well, and I thought that it did everything that it needed to do. Um, the next segment, oddly enough, we started right off with the SmackDown Women's Championship match. It went good. You saw a lot of strengths from Tony. You saw a lot of strengths from Charlotte, and a lot of spots where Charlotte got to thinking, what am I going to have to do to put this person away? She's really a lot stronger than I thought she was. That kind of thing. At the end of the day, Charlotte did end up retaining. And I was slightly disappointed that it was a clean finish. The reason for this is that we don't know for sure if this means that Tony is going to get another opportunity. If I'm being honest, I don't know that Tony is necessarily ready for this. I would have liked to have seen her get at least another chance, another opportunity to shine. It would have been nice to have actually seen that title defended at day one, and I don't really think we're probably going to get that with that clean finish. But we'll find out. Tony was very heartbroken by the end of it. She was. You could tell there were definitely very real emotional tears going on there. We then had the New Day. They were backstage with Drew McIntyre, and they were going to be teaming up with Madcap Moss and the Usos later on. And we'll get to that because that was the main event. I actually really enjoyed it. Um, but we then had Boogs and Nakamura come out because they were going to be having um, the gauntlet match for the Intercontinental Championship. Um, I'm I was excited about that actually. It was the 12 Days of Christmas match, gauntlet match. Um, so Angel Garza and Mansoor kicked it off. Um, with Angel Garza picking up the first couple of wins. To be honest, toward the end, I really thought that they were going to give this to Jinder Mahal. No offense against Jinder, because he has improved to some extent, but I I still cannot get behind his character, and it's so much more than just heel heat. I There's no real connection there, and that's important even for heel character. It's not just about heel heat, but a connection as a heel. Um, and I just don't see it honestly. Um, at the end of it, we do end up getting to close out the gauntlet match. Ricochet and Sami Zayn, who came out last. Sami Zayn got to enter last, which, okay, let's face it, that gives him quite a bit of an advantage. It really does. Um, at the end of the day, um, Sami Zayn would come out victorious. Um, but throughout that match, we saw Eric and Ivar, we saw Sheamus, we saw Mansoor, and um, we saw Shanky. We saw a lot of top talent. We really did. Cesaro was out there as well. Um, so Sami Zayn ends up winning the whole thing, and he will now go on to face um, Nakamura. And that should be at day one, I do believe. I haven't looked at the updated card yet um, to tell for sure, but I do believe that that is when that's going to take place. So then we're actually already at pretty much the end of the show, guys. A lot of this took a lot of time. That gauntlet match, it really did, especially when you're going through 12 guys. Um, we get the New Day and Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss and the Usos in a Miracle on 34th Street fight. That's right, we get anything goes in this street fight. There is food laid out, there is eggnog, there's tables. Um, we, of course, would, I believe, get some chairs involved too throughout part of this. It was an entertaining match. It really was. Um, at the end of the day, um, Drew McIntyre and the New Day would pick up the win in this. And the part that made me laugh probably even the most, though, was uh, um, I don't even remember now who it was that poured the first eggnog. Um, so first of all, they got hit with some cookies, but um, between the New Day and Drew McIntyre, they poured eggnog on both Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin. But there was one thing of eggnog that was poured over Madcap Moss first. And while that was drawing their attention, the New Day, so I believe it was Drew McIntyre that poured the first one. And then while the attention was on Drew, the New Day, I believe it was, came up behind them and like poured it on both of them. So at the end of the day, Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin were, sorry, Happy Corbin were covered with eggnog. I really thoroughly enjoyed that segment. I really did. One other thing that I wanted to touch on was that there was a backstage segment, some promos. Whether or not, I mean, they weren't done live. Let's be honest about this. This was taped. They did not ask these superstars to come in on Christmas Eve. But they were not in the same place. When they did this, they were video promos. But it was between Natalya and Xia Li. I am kind of excited to see this. If I'm being honest, Natalya is probably one of the most technical wrestlers that WWE has, especially in their women's division. She is a true veteran of that business, and I don't know if at this point she truly sees herself actually attaining a championship again. But she has been a SmackDown Women's Champion, and that says a lot. It really does. But for her to get to work with Xia Li, and for Xia Li to get to work with someone in that business that can teach her so much, is really good for Xia Li. So I'm kind of excited to see where that feud goes, if it does truly end up being a full-fledged feud. We will see where that ends up going. So that is SmackDown. And I'm going to go over Monday Night Raw. Do not worry. That's going to be a whole other video, though, okay? I will do them in separate videos. Keep in mind that they're going to be a little different. So, at any rate, that is SmackDown, the Christmas Eve edition.